In this video, we're going to look at inscribed shapes, specifically quadrilaterals. Notice in this particular problem, they're asking for a lot of information. They want to know what x is. They also want to know what the measure of angle A is, angle B, angle C, and angle D. But notice that we only are really given one angle, right? We're given an expression for two other angles. So we need to know some of the attributes of this particular situation for an inscribed shape in a circle in order to proceed with it and get it right. So let me show you some facts about it. First of all, anytime you have an inscribed quadrilateral inside of a circle, I want you to keep in mind that opposing sides, the angles that oppose each other, I should say, are supplementary. And just in case you forgot, when we talk about supplementary angles, I'm going to write right here, supplementary. Just means that they add to equal 180 degrees. So for instance, angle C and angle B. So the measure of angle C plus the measure of angle B will be equal to 180 degrees. And likewise, when we're looking at A and D, the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle D should be equal to 180 degrees. And if you remember this rule right here, then you're going to be able to solve these really easy. So let's continue with the problem. Now I know by looking at this that they gave me a 90-degree angle for C. So what I know is that C plus angle B, that's currently unknown, right? They have a question mark there. They should be equal to 180 degrees. So if I want to find that, then again, I'm going to go ahead and just write a statement real fast. I'm going to move this up just a little bit to have some more room. So I can say that the measure of angle C plus the measure of angle B equals 180 degrees. So I'm simply going to put in here what I know. I know C is 90 degrees because it has this right angle here. So C is 90 degrees. Plus, and I'm just going to put an X for angle B because we don't know what it is, and that's equal to 180 degrees. And so therefore at this point I can use inverse operations to go ahead and solve this. So all I have to do is subtract 90 degrees from both sides. That cancels, and I end up with X is equal to 90 degrees. Now this is not always going to be the case, right? They could have had an angle here that was not a 90-degree angle, and it would have been a different situation. But because this is a 90-degree angle, then I know B has to be a 90-degree angle, because if I add C and B together, it should give me 180, and 90 plus 90 is 180. So I can go ahead and I can answer those two problems. I can say C is 90 degrees, and I can go ahead and say with confidence that angle B is also 90 degrees. So now we just have two angles left and the variable X. Now we're going to kind of use the same method, the same idea, right, as to find these next two angles. However, since they gave us an expression instead of an actual value, a number, we're going to have to go ahead and do a little algebra here. We're going to set up an equation. So in order to find A and D and to find what X is, I'm going to go ahead and set up my problem. So I'm going to say that angle, the measure of angle A, that's this angle right here, plus the measure of angle D down here is equal to 180 degrees. So what we know is the information they've given us, and they said the measure of angle A is represented by the expression 2x plus 41. So I'm just going to write right here 2x plus 41. That represents angle A. Plus angle D, which is 2x plus 1, so 2x plus 1, is all going to be equal to 180 degrees. So now we just have to combine like terms and go ahead and isolate the variable. So first I'm going to combine my like terms. Now I'm going to box it. I notice we have 2x here and we have positive 2x here. And if I combine 2x plus 2x's gives me 4x's. And then I'm going to circle the constant values. I have 41 right here and positive 1 right here. And 41 plus 1 gives me 42. And this all has to be equal to 180 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 42 from both sides to get it away from the variable x. And I'll go ahead and do 180 minus 42. And it gives me 138. And then I'll simply bring down my 4x. So I now have 4x is equal to 138. Now my final step to isolate x, right, to get x all by itself, which is this is gonna allow us to answer 2 questions, right? But we're gonna start by answering just what x is. So let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and divide out that coefficient of 4 from my x. And if I divide on the left side of the equation, I gotta divide on the right. 4 going to 4 one time, leaving me with just 1x. And 138 divided by 4, I'm going to put that in the calculator. 138 divided by 4 gives me 34.5. So this over here becomes 34.5. So we know what x is now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write that in. When they said what is x equal to? X is equal to 34.5. Now we can use this information to go ahead and answer the other 2 questions. Like I said, when we got done, it's going to answer 2 questions. What we're going to do is take the 34.5 and substitute it for x in this bottom expression, and that's going to give us the answer to D. And then after that, we'll take 34.5 and substitute it in for x on this top left expression, right, for 2x plus 41 for angle A, and that'll give us the measure of angle A. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do that right over here. Just going to make a little bit of space. Alright, I'm going to do the bottom right first. So we have 2x plus 1. And that's going to be equal to angle D, the measure of angle D. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to substitute some values in real quick. For instance, x right here is actually going to be 34.5. And then we just bring down what's around it, the 2 that's in front and the plus 1 at the end. And that's going to be equal to the measure of angle D. So I'm going to just put that in my calculator real quick. So we have 2 parentheses 34.5. Notice I'm putting it in just like I wrote it. Plus 1. And that gives me 70. So if I go over here, this is going to be 70 degrees. So the measure of angle D is equal to 70 degrees. Now we got to do the same thing, but with this other expression over here, right? The top left one, the measure of angle A. So I'll go ahead and just move this over just a little bit. We'll do it right up here. So we're going to say 2x plus 41. So 2x plus 41 is equal to the measure of angle A. And now we'll substitute our value. In place of x, I'm going to go ahead and put 34.5 in a set of parentheses. And then I'm going to bring down what's around it. We had a 2 being multiplied to that x value. And then we were adding 41 at the end. And that's going to give us our measure of angle A. So I'm going to take my calculator and do 2 parentheses 34.5. And then plus 41. And it gives me 110. So it's 110 degrees. Now keep in mind, if we did these right, then we should be able to add angle A and angle D and get 180 degrees. So if I take angle A, which is 110 degrees, and this is just to check our work, and I add it to angle D, which is 70 degrees, it should give me 180. And we can just check it with the calculator real quick. We can do 110 plus 70. Notice it does give me 180. No different than if we take measure of angle B and the measure of angle C and we add 90 and 90, we also get 180. And that's because there's a total of 360 degrees in any quadrilateral. Any four-sided shape has 360 degrees total. So if I added up all four angles, 110 plus 90 plus 90 plus 70, it would give me 360. So there's more than one way you can solve this problem. I think this is just one of the easiest ways to go about it. Just remember that the angles that oppose each other are supplementary, therefore they equal 180 degrees, and you'll always be able to find the missing angle.